Mr Deputy Speaker, and it is with a heavy heart that I rise to talk on the condolence motion for our former Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser. Mr Deputy Speaker, I had the great pleasure of meeting Malcolm Fraser once and having quite a long conversation with him in one of the first sitting weeks after both you and I were elected in 2010. He was staying in the same hotel as me, and the member for Ryan and I spotted him in the hotel bar, and I said to Jane, Malcolm Fraser's been saying some unkind things on TV about young people being elected to Parliament, and I wouldn't mind having a chat to him, but I was too nervous to go and talk to this person who I'd only seen on TV. And I said, "Can you introduce me?" And she said, "Of course." And Jane and I went over and we sat down and started having a few drinks with Malcolm Fraser and Tammy Fraser, and it was one of the most amazing conversations I've had in my political career. And I might come back to a bit of it, but the piece of that conversation that stuck with me was I said to him, "Mr Fraser, what's your biggest regret?" And he sort of thought about it, and Tammy cut him off and put her arm across his chest and said, "He was the sod that turned the sod on that building." And of course they were referring to the building of this building, the new Parliament House. And I said, what do you mean? And this building is lacking soul, is what he said. Because of course in old Parliament House, all the members of Parliament had to work together, they had to sit together, they were in the same room together, and while that politics was fought in a very aggressive way, they were able to leave that at the door and still have a drink in the bar in the old building. And as we all know, Gough Whitlam and Malcolm Fraser later on in life became great friends. There was a better type of politics, a better discussion. And I think that is really the legacy that he leaves us here in this place, is how can we breathe a soul into our political discussion? How can we have some civility in our political discourse? And this building, while it is completely beautiful, in many ways takes that away. And the legacy that I think Malcolm Fraser leaves so many of us is our politics can be better. Our politics can always be better. And to have a soul in this discussion, to have a sense of purpose in the discussion about what our country can be, surely must be the lasting legacy of Malcolm Fraser. And of course, Mr Deputy Speaker, it's been mentioned in a few of the speeches in this place. The other thing that we obviously discussed was young people going into politics. Malcolm Fraser, in that TV interview I was referring to, said some unkind things about young people going into politics. He said they shouldn't be doing it. But of course, as Tammy pointed out in that conversation, Malcolm was 25 when he was elected. He was the youngest member of the Parliament and has been pointed out the tallest, and I'm happy to admit I'm the youngest and the shortest, but he was a young person coming into this place, which presents many unique challenges. And by having that discussion with him and pushing this a little bit further, I said to him, well, why is it a bad thing that you think that young people come into politics, or what is the reason that this isn't okay? And the point that he was making, which is a point I completely 100% agree with, is that when we are elected to Parliament, we have to be here for a reason. We have to have a purpose for being in political life. To have a political career that is founded purely on being here for the sake of being here has no reason to it. It has no ability to change the country. It just has self-preservation. And Malcolm Fraser pointed out, well, of course I could have always gone back to the farm and had a job. And I said, well, I actually come from the farm too, and every conversation I have with Dad is come back to the farm and get out of politics. But what is so important for us in this place, regardless of our background, regardless of our age, regardless of our gender or ethnicity or professional background, is that when we serve in public life, we are trying to change the country for the better, that we are serving a purpose in our representation of the people who elect us. And that is, again, the legacy that Malcolm Fraser leaves behind. And I would say to all students of history, but I think more importantly to Tammy and the Fraser family. They should be incredibly proud of what their father achieved, because love him or hate him, he changed this country. And the one thing that Malcolm Fraser always wanted us to be as a nation is proud and independent. And that is such a lasting legacy. There is something in the Australian psyche that we almost like to knock ourselves down and say that we can't be this great nation. But he was an absolutely true patriot in the sense that he believed incredibly strongly that we should be proud of the fact that we're Australians, that we should be an independent nation capable of making its own decisions and planning its own course in the modern world. And I think that's something we should be proud of. That's a patriotic position to take. He is somebody that understood also that our country is stronger when we have diversity. Diversity is something that should be celebrated and embraced, and that contributes to our society rather than takes away from our society and our culture. So I would say when history writes the story of Malcolm Fraser, I think it will be far kinder than many of his critics today on both sides of the political aisle. And we should all be proud of the contribution that he has made. And as he goes off to another place, his family, and particularly Tammy, can rest easy knowing that they were part of something that changed this country for the better. So with those words, Mr Deputy Speaker, may he rest in peace.